Hey folks, it's Roisin Curie here. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to turn your very own sketches into fabric and make something that you can wear?
Hey folks, Roisin here, and today I'm going to show you something that I think you'll really like. Yes, you can see my laundry on the line in the background, but this is a very, very rare dry day and I'm not taking the laundry in until it's completely dry. Okay, so over the years, I've had a lot of fun making patterns that can be transferred to fabric. And in fact, I have made items of clothing that have been made from my patterns. And it's really, really fun if you make a sketch and then you scan it and turn it into a pattern that you can then upload to a custom fabric making website, and you can have it printed and you can choose your type of fabric and it's all great. So I'm going to show you a couple of bits of fabric and one that I'm currently working on and see what you think. So this is a pair of swimming togs that I made for my son Paddy, and it's got lots of pictures of barbers on them from when I used to draw him at the barbers. And here is my skirt. Hold on, I'll go back a bit further. Here is one of the many skirts I've made in this particular barbershop fabric, and I absolutely love the skirt. I love the fabric. It's a nice light cotton, but you can choose from loads and loads of different fabrics, whatever you want to make. I love the skirt and it's guaranteed completely unique. Here is a length of fabric that I haven't done anything with, and you can see some of my sketches done in the barber shop. Let me see if I'll show you one of my favorite ones. Hold on now. This one is done in France, and that's Paddy sitting in the barber chair. And most of them have got Paddy in them, some of them don't. Some of them have got just, you know, people getting their hair cut, like this guy getting a shave. And this one I really like, just because of all the dark blues, and I like the way Ali the barber is cutting Paddy's hair so carefully. That was really hard because I was trying to draw his reflection in the mirror at the same time, but of course, being a barber, he moves quickly and they didn't match, you know, the reflection and the scissor action. Anyway, so you make all these sketches, and then say, for example, you have lots of different sketches with different color schemes. It's important to choose ones that the color scheme works together. Or you can do what I'm going to show you today, which is just choosing one color, and you'll be completely safe and nothing will clash if you just choose one color. And you can use ink or you can use watercolor, but just one. So I'll show you the one that I'm working on at the moment. So this is a card I painted for my girl's birthday, and I'm going to show you what they look like in the card and what they look like in the original sketches. So that second one there started off as an on-location sketch done in Dublin City, and that represents her life in Dublin because she's in university in Dublin. And then here's one that you might recognise from a recent YouTube. So that's the one I did of the ruined house and all the hay bales and all the rest of it. And then other than that, I have other little sketches that pertain to her, and of course Reuben, her little doggy, and another one of Reuben, and some wildflowers because she loves the wildflowers that we have in our garden. And you can see it's a funny shape. That's because I put some images on that I didn't like in the end, so I cut them out and I left them out. So how does this card translate into a piece of fabric? Well, first of all, what about the materials I use? So I'll show you the ink. So I used my Fude pen by Sailor, 55 degree Fude pen, and the ink I used is, oh, that's brown. The ink I used is a dark bluey grey, and it's decanted into a little bottle here that goes into my sketch pocket. But the ink itself is it's called Frida, F-R-I-E-D-A, and it is by Roaring Klingner, and it's in the sketch ink range, so it's waterproof and it doesn't clog your pen or anything like that. And what I did was I took sketches that I already had, as I've just shown you, and then I used a little bit of dilute ink. Well, first of all, I used my regular Fude pen, drew the shape, and then I put a little bit of ink into a little palette, and I used very dilute to build it up, and I will show you how I would do one of those. And I wish that fly would go away. Okay, so let's see how that translates and how the process is.
Here are all the little sketches that I made that were on the birthday card, put together as a pattern that you can print onto fabric. And I'm going to show you in a very, very simple way how you can do this too.
So here's the one I'm going to show you. It's just a regular sketch done from life. One crab down in the shore near me. This is the top side and this is the bottom side. This apparently says she's female. So I'm going to do this lovely crab in the one colour, the Frida sketch ink, and then I'll show you how I would manipulate it and put it onto a background that would be suitable for making into fabric. So I'm going to use this ink, which I know looks completely, you can't tell the colour at all because my bottle of pink ink smashed in my bag, but you can tell with all the spillages here, it's a very wonderful shade of dark bluey with a hint of grey. I suppose you'd call it kind of an indigo, and I love it. It's just gorgeous. Let me show you how that turns out in the card. Now, obviously I'm not making a card. I'm going to put these straight into my sketchbook, and I'm going to copy the existing sketch I have of a crab, top and bottom, and then I'm going to use diluted ink to pick out the different shades and the different tones and so on. So let's get going. Well, no sooner have I started than I realised that my pen is empty, so time for a quick pit stop before I go on.
Maybe you can see those little dots that I've done around the edge. That's because I didn't want to do kind of a sketchy line in ink before I started, but I still wanted to make sure I'd end up in the right place. I don't use pencil before I start a sketch in ink. Usually I just jump in directly in ink, but this time I decided to give myself a little bit of confidence to make sure that everything was going to be in the right place, and I did the little dots, and they're never going to be noticed anyway.
So for the painting, I just use the lid of the ink because it can be a little bit intense if you pour ink directly into a palette. I'm using my R13 brush just because it's got loads of control. My R13 from Rosemary & Co. Fantastic brush, super versatile, but I'll be sure to clean out any ink that might be in it.
I've used the pen with this slightly wider angle of line for the outline of the crab. I always like to use a slightly heavier line for the outside of things. And having done the outline sort of okay, it's not amazingly done, I'm now painting in, if you will, colouring in with the one colour, the ink on the body of the crab. And I'm trying to copy my own sketch. I'm trying to leave little white gaps where I see them in my original sketch, and I'm trying to beef up the ink where I see it particularly dark. Now you can do this in two ways. You can let the ink dry in between each layer, or you can do it kind of semi-dry, or you can do it by letting it go into completely fresh and wet ink. It's much more tolerant than when you use different colours of watercolour paint because they have different consistencies and they have different properties, I don't know. But with just the one ink, the one brand from the one bottle, everything's just going to behave and it'll all blend together nicely. So it's one of the few instances where you can just disregard your timing to some extent. Time for the other side of the crab. Now the first one I've done is still a little bit wet, so I'm happy to get on with this second one. Well, it's not really a second one, it's her underbelly. Poor little crab. Did she ever for a second think, one day I'll be drawn and I'll be used as an example of a little design that you can put on fabric. I won't be made into fabric, mind, but I will be used as an example. And I'm happy to help. Now, sorry about the autofocus. I still haven't figured out how to turn it off using my iPhone, so Sorry about that. But anyway, here I am drawing the whole crab underbelly, and I'm adding all the different bits of ink just as I did for the first one, and I'm trying to spot any bits that are going to be left completely white and shiny, and I'm trying to leave those completely unpainted. Having said that, I know that I'm going to be able to touch it up at the end with a little bit of white gel pen. So all in all, it's a really handy way to make a sketch. You're on safe territory from start to finish. You're only using one colour. As to the choice of colour, you can go with the indigo that I've gone for. You could go for brown. You could go for, I don't know, olive green, whatever takes your fancy. I went for the sort of classic toile de jouy, beautiful soft blue. I love that. So just adding little bits of darker layers of ink where things have started to dry. And everything's bone dry now, and I'm adding little dots with my white gel pen, which is a Jelly Roll by Sakura. And this is what my crab looks like in the end. So let's do a little close-up of that. Here's a close-up of what they look like. And I did add some text because I think the text looks kind of cool and it adds a little bit of interest. And I always love doing those little arrows. When it comes to preparing a design for printing onto fabric or onto paper, you've got a choice. You can either bring it to your print shop and get them to prepare it for you, or just tell them what you want and they'll know what to do, or you can learn how to do it yourself. I use GIMP, which is a free graphics package, and it's not like completely straightforward, but it's not that difficult either. There are loads of little videos and explainer little tutorials that you can look at. I have tried to record a piece to tell you how to do it about 6 times. Some of those with Ruben in the picture, which is very nice. However, I had to give up each time because I was getting into the weeds and bogged down. So those are my recommendations to you. I know it's a little bit of a cop-out, but it really is just too complicated for a person who's not a computer person at all to explain. I use Spoon Flower, which is a brilliant custom fabric and paper supplier, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're very, very user-friendly. They're just great. And if you make a mistake and make your pattern far too big or something like that, or far too small, they will give you a credit because they want you to be happy. They want you to be a happy customer and to come back. And here I am recommending them, even though they have no idea that I am so doing. So I do wish you loads of pleasure and loads of fun and loads of luck making your own fabric. It's well worth it. Go for it. You can do it.